Hello and welcome to the 2022 Modern World History Film Festival. The film we watched and analyzed was Saving Private Ryan, a 1998 film directed by Steven Spielberg. It was rated a 93% on Rotten Tomatoes and is a Hollywood movie, costing approximately $70 million to produce. This film takes place near the end of World War II in 1944. At this time during the war, the Allied forces were preparing to invade France, which was being held by the Germans. During this time, the war was pretty evenly fought, and D-Day was one of the deciding moments. If the Allies succeeded, the Allies had a great chance of winning the war, but if Germany prevailed, opportunities to win for the Allies would become slim. The movie begins with D-Day, where the Allied forces began their invasion into France. They chose to attack along a beach, causing them to have a difficult uphill sprint for about 200 yards to get to cover. Because of the distance to cover, troops were slaughtered by German machine guns, resulting in around 250,000 deaths for the Allied forces. But even through this adversity, and against all odds, the Allied forces prevailed, lending them the upper hand in the war. I would like to show these two maps, the first being a map of World War II in general, and you can see the line which they held, and then the second map being the map of the Battle of Normandy and where they attacked along the beach. Next, I'll talk about setting. In the beginning of the movie, it is set somewhere along the coast where D-Day occurred. We are not sure. The beach is not specified, but there were many deaths, leading me to believe that it may have been Omaha Beach. After they succeeded in taking Normandy at D-Day, Captain Miller and his squadron are tasked with locating a Private Ryan, whose 3 brothers died at Normandy, therefore allowing him to go home, because they felt bad for his mother. In order to complete this mission, they had to head inland and begin to go from town to town looking for Ryan. When they finally locate him, it is in a small French town called Ramel. Ramel is valuable because it contains one of the remaining bridges across the Meurthe River. They remain there because they must hold the bridge. So Private Ryan did not want to go home. He wanted to complete his mission, which was to hold the bridge, and Captain Miller and his squadron decided to stay with Private Ryan.
All the major characters were set to find Private Ryan. The U.S. Department of War felt obligated to spare Ryan's parents more tragedy. The people that were out to find Private Ryan were Captain Miller, the leader of the squad tasked with saving Private Ryan, Corporal Upham, translator on the mission. He was extremely scared the whole mission. All he did was translate. Private Mellish, he was just one of the fighters. Private Rabim wanted to leave the mission because he was scared for his life, but ended up staying. He ended up actually causing a fight between one of the sergeants, and the sergeant pulled a gun on him, but it all got figured out. Private Jackson was a specialized, talented sniper. You can see throughout the film he does crazy things. Sergeant Horvath, co-leader of the squad, tasked with saving Ryan. Captain Hamil, he was a fighter. General George C. made the decision to save Private Ryan. A simple but fundamental question after watching the film was their mission to save Private Ryan worth it? Well, they lost 2 men just trying to locate him, and when they did, Ryan refused to go home. It seemed as if their mission had been a waste of time, and more importantly, the lives that died. They decided to stay with Ryan and his squad, but in doing so, almost everyone in Captain Miller's squad was killed. So, when outweighing the pros and cons, I don't think it was worth it. A key scene that me and my peers thought was incredibly interesting and honestly eye-opening was when the Americans let the German soldier leave, who was at tears because he thinks he's going to die. And then after, like, a couple days later, they're at the bridge fighting, and Captain Upham, the translator, sees that same soldier shooting at the Americans. He even sees the Germans shoot Captain Miller. So what? Why should we care about this film, and what is it showing? This film shows camaraderie. and the devastations in war. Captain Miller's squad worked as one unit and all loved each other, same as Private Ryan's. Private Ryan, instead of wanting to go home, stayed with his only brothers left. He did it because he loved them. He loved being there for them, and he would die there for them. This film shows the breathtaking acts in war, and it is important to gain knowledge and empathy for the soldiers who have gone through so much.
It doesn't make any sense, sir. Why? Why me? Why do I deserve to go? Why not any of these guys? They all fought just as hard as me.
Is that what they're supposed to tell your mother? When they send her another folded American flag?
Tell her that when you found me, I was here, and I was with the only brothers that I have left. And there's no way I was going to desert them. I think she'll understand that. There's no way I'm leaving this bridge.
So was there a bias towards the Americans or the Germans? So this movie is biased towards the Americans and the Allied forces because it was made in Hollywood. This bias is not shown too strongly as the focus of the movie is more on saving Ryan than it is about military tactics and winning the war. Of course, since it follows American soldiers, we see their bias, and they kill many German soldiers, but I don't think the bias of the film takes anything away from it. Was Saving Private Ryan a historically accurate film? This film is historically accurate in many ways, including D-Day representations and the way that the battles are depicted, along with all of the military action and relationships that the soldiers have. This film is based on the true story of Private Neeland, who, like Ryan, lost 3 brothers to the war and was ordered to be sent home. The town of Ramelle, where they find Private Ryan, is not a real town, but the idea of protecting bridges across the Meteors River was true. Some review questions that we thought were relevant to our movie. Can wars be moral? We chose this question because it relates to our film in the sense that everyone is fighting for a reason, and both sides of the war are fighting for a reason. So when we think about the questions, can wars be moral? The answer is yes. They will always be moral in someone's perspective. Next question. In an increasingly globalized and connected world, do people have a responsibility to act on behalf of others? This question relates to Saving Private Ryan because Captain Miller's squad is responsible for saving the life of one man, putting their own lives at risk and losing 2 of their men. This is a question that comes up often in war, as our leaders constantly have to weigh the pros and cons to decide if sacrificing 8 men for 1 is worth it. But when it comes down to it, the soldiers in this movie are willing to serve and act on behalf of others even when faced with adversity. Overall, we really enjoyed this movie and we rated it 4 out of 5 stars. Thank you for watching our video.